Welcome to Barf City, episode 27. I'm Eric.
I'm Kevin.
27th episode. Woo! So, let's see here. So, got a few game news things that I could talk about today.
We got a list.
No, it's on, I technically have a mental list. So, did you ever play the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi series?
Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi G2 and 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fourth one's coming out, which they're calling Sparking Zero, right?
Right.
From what I understand, is they're going to do what ifs again, but I'll have to buy it and see, when I get the money to pre-order it. So it's looking like instead of just setting it up a what if scenario like in the other ones, like a side mission thing, you can change the storyline in gameplay, like main story campaign.
Oh, like you can decide what choice you make or something?
Yeah, because so I had the thought that this might be going this way in one of their previous trailers, which was the Master and Apprentice trailer. And in it, it gets to future Gohan and future Trunks, which, side note, they finally are having future Gohan without the fucking left arm since he got taken off by the androids.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the sleeve is even animated so it moves in the wind. So that's kind of cool because most games don't actually have him one armed.
Yeah.
He does both arms, which is kind of weird. But him and Trunks are training, and then the androids show up, and they both start fighting the androids, and both Trunks and Gohan both go Super Saiyan against the androids.
Hmm.
I don't know if you people remember this, but in the manga, Trunks went Super Saiyan before Gohan passed away, but during training. But in the anime,
Oh, I actually
he
didn't
didn't.
know that.
Yeah, in the manga, he's actually already Super Saiyan before Gohan's death.
Hmm.
But in the anime, he goes Super Saiyan because of
Right. It
Gohan's
was
death.
kind of his death that causes it. Yeah.
Yeah, Gohan's death was his trigger.
Yeah.
So seeing and I don't and I if I remember 100% correctly, almost Trunks never fought in Super Saiyan against the androids until he went back in the past.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, why is Trunks in Super Saiyan fighting along the androids alongside Gohan? Hmm. Are they messing with what ifs? Or is it just like, a little thing they were doing for cheesiness in the trailer? Well, the release date trailer came out, and in it, it introduces the fact of what's going on with the story mode. Piccolo lands after Raditz takes Gohan, and you have two options. This wheel shows this little circle pops up with two options on it: go with Piccolo or go alone. And when you take off alone, Krillin chases after you, which of course doesn't happen in the anime.
Right.
So I was like, they are, aren't they? And immediately after that, they show clips of, I guess, Great Ape Vegeta stomped Krillin and killed him. And it shows Goku lifting up his foot, enraged, going Super Saiyan in the Saiyan saga. So I'm like, ooh, yep, they're doing what ifs. They're doing what ifs again. And I'm hoping that it's actually, by the looks of it, it's in the main story mode. And then after that, it shows Perfect Cell doing a Kamehameha and Vegeta using a Final Flash against it, and Trunks is standing next to him, and Trunks does a Final Flash.
Oh, wow.
So we get a father-son Final Flash. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to be good. My buddy, from what he's heard, is they're potentially doing it also in the storyline to do other things, but they're apparently also setting up a side thing where you can actually create your own story mode determining what ifs.
Hmm.
So I'm like, this is gonna be cool for a lot of these, what if YouTubers for Dragon Ball. Because
Yeah.
now they can actually have full length like visuals of a what if scenario.
Yeah.
But it's looking freaking dope. All the gameplay I've seen of it, because some YouTubers that were able to go and get a 30-minute recording, and it's looking extremely cool.
Yeah.
Like Vegeta, there's one moment the guy who's playing as Vegeta, he gets instantly hit by an ultimate death beam by Frieza, and his fucking Saiyan armor just shatters off.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it's looking like they're going like by your health, depends on how much battle damage you take. It's kind of cool. It also shows the spirit bomb being used in the arena, and when Goku goes to use it, and I'm guessing this is for any ultimates doing in the tournament arena. The tournament announcer popped his head out of the sign. He's like, I think I need to get out of here. And it just shows a scene of all the fans running out of the stadium.
Hmm.
And you can actually destroy the Tenkaichi arena. Yeah. You can destroy chunks of it and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for it. That's there's a lot of stuff I'm curious on what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But that's the Dragon Ball one. So if you know the game Aliens Colonial Marine.
Doesn't even sound familiar.
So it was a 360 game that came out, and it was relatively cheap compared to most 360 games.
Yeah.
But it followed the Colonial Marines dealing with the Xenomorphs.
Hmm.
And that game was connected to the Dark Horse comics, the Colonial Marine comics. And apparently the Colonial Marine comics ended. They didn't like, they just, I guess they just stopped doing it for some reason. I can't remember the details. Well, now the same company's coming back with Dark Horse to continue the comic books in the video game. So we're getting a second Colonial Marines.
Hmm.
Which will have apparently have alternate endings depending on your choices. And it's going to be cheap. We're talking like $30-$40 for the game.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. And they're reintroducing the kings. I'm sure you know about the Xenomorph queens, right?
Yeah.
So apparently there are Xenomorph kings.
Hmm.
But their job is, if one of the warriors live long enough to become a Xenomorph king, is to keep the Xenomorph population in check. Apparently they become aggressive to queens.
Hmm.
Yeah. If there's too many queens in an area, the Xenomorph King will start killing them. That's something I need to look more into because I'm not 100% familiar with the Xenomorph Kings.
Yeah. I'd never heard of them. So.
Yeah. Because like there's all kinds of different Xenomorphs.
Right. Yeah, my knowledge with the extended lore of the Aliens universe is kind of limited.
So the King, also known as Monstrosity, is a large and rare form of the Xenomorph XX121 species that are known to exist in the largest of Xenomorph hive. They are very similar to the Queen, Caste, but are much more built for combat than the egg-laying Queen. Much like its Queen counterpart, the King possesses a large head crest, which is much more ornate than the Queen's, parallel to its jaw. A pair of tusk-like protrusions just out of its crest, though they seem too small to be used defensively, the King is also much more rigid and bulkier looking than his female counterpart. Much like several other Castes of Xenomorphs. The king is capable of speaking acid. Yeah. Highly corrosive. Where is it? I didn't really figure out. I actually haven't seen the kings very much. They actually look pretty cool.
I have to see a picture of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. Somebody said they kill queens off when there's too many of them. But I'm not seeing anything about that. The king also possesses two tails. So he has two barbed tails instead of one. That sounds extremely dangerous. Apparently, the king was introduced. When was the king introduced? The iteration of the king would make its first debut in any franchise media with a 2018 expansion of the Protoss game board game, Alien vs. Predator: The Hunt Begins. So it was a board game creation.
Oh, wow.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. So, and one of the xenomorphs that we deal with in Colonial Marines, uh, apparently he becomes a Xenomorph King, and he'll be back. He'll be back in the next game. So, if you're a fan of the Colonial Marine comics, old video game, and the Alien franchise, yeah, we got a new Alien game coming out.
That came out on 360, you said?
Yeah, the original came out in 360, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
Alien Colonial Marine. Yep. For it was Gearbox software published by Sega for PlayStation 3, Windows, and Xbox 360.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I guess I was out of the loop when that came out.
Yeah, I'm trying to find any information I can find on the second one that's coming out. Yeah, Alien Rogue Incursion is an there's also a VR horror game they launched will be launching this year. The holidays of 2024. Yay, we get a VR horror game. That's what I want to play VR aliens. That's exactly what I need for some heart attack stuff. But yeah, it's supposed to be announced for next year, some point, using Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do I have any other nerd news this time around? Not really. So, how was your weekend?
All right. My schedule is just all over the place this weekend. I'm not sure what happened. So I guess maybe I stayed up too late Friday night or something. I don't know, but something like when I yesterday it took me so long to like get up and get going. I kept falling back to sleep. I even got up out of bed for a while and then went back to sleep. And finally, I got up, and then of course, since I was asleep most of the day, I was up all night again. And then today, I had a really weird schedule again, where I went to bed when the sun came up, and then I woke up for a while and played on my phone, and then like an hour later, I went back to sleep. And then I just got up about an hour ish and a half ish ago, I think, and finally got myself out of bed and came in and got something to eat. So. Watched a video. I came across it was just on my feed, suggested video. It said something about the creator of Stardew Valley. It was talking about apparently. It said the title, of course, it was a bit clickbaity once I watched it, but I mean, it was kind of true, I guess. The title said it's like the creator's name is Eric, but he said
Right.
Eric apparently didn't like his game when he first released it or whatever, and I was just like, what? And so I clicked on it to watch the video, and of course they have to give you the whole backstory. But he did talk about a lot of stuff that I didn't know because I read uh, news on it and even listened to a podcast one time where they talked about him creating that game, and I guess either I misunderstood what they were saying before, or maybe they had misinformation or something. I was under the impression that he made that game while he was working a full-time like IT job. Like he had a computer science degree and he got an IT job, and then he was making that game like on weekends and like when he came home from work and stuff like that. That was the impression I got. But apparently that was not the case. That he apparently never even used his computer science degree. He went to school and got it, and he winded up somehow the situation came to where he couldn't find a job in the area he was living anyway. And so he thought he was already kind of working on this game a little bit, early stages of it. So he
Mm-hmm.
thought if he made this game, he could use it as a cool example to show off his, technical skills, and that
Yeah.
maybe could get him a job. And so apparently he actually wasn't even working a job for years and years. His wife was working like two jobs while he was sitting at home, like making this game. And I'm not like criticizing or anything. I'm just saying had no idea that that's what was going on. I was under the impression he was single, like most of the time, that he didn't meet his wife until years later. But I was like, no, they apparently met like long before all that. And they were married like before he really even technically started the project. So,
Wow.
but yeah, it's partially true apparently that he did. What happened is, I mean, I'm sure anyone that has, worked a project to death, and I had heard that he taught himself how to create music and taught himself how to create pixel art, which is partially true according to this video. Apparently, he already knew how to make music, but he just learned how to just make music that was more catered to this game, I guess. And then he already knew how to like paint and do a lot of artistic stuff, but he had just never done pixel art before. So he just taught himself how to do pixel art. And so he did that. And apparently I did know that he was slowly improving his pixel art in the game over time, sort of like how a programmer might go back through and fix code and clean up the code and stuff. He was
Yeah.
essentially doing that with the art as well. He was going through and he would become dissatisfied with the way something looked, so he would create a better version of it and then update it. And he said I can't tell you how many times I've updated the portraits for the people in the game. He's like, I think I've made like updated it like 20 times. And I was just like, oh wow, he's a perfectionist apparently. And but apparently he had played the game and dealt with the game for so many years. By the time it finally got released, he honestly didn't expect much out of it. He was hoping to get at least a few downloads to at least make a little money off of it, to make it a little worth it. And then, like I said, he was still kind of hoping to maybe get a job out of it. And he but like I said, within a week he sold like 500,000, I think, and he was already like pretty much within a couple of weeks already like a millionaire. But and everybody just he got nothing but praise for the game pretty much. But he was just like, I guess you have to consider that I'd played the game so much I was kind of sick of it, to be honest with you. And I was just like, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, considering you got to play it over and over to constantly test it, especially if you're
Yeah,
doing it by yourself. Because like with the big team, like
yeah,
most of these game studios, you got the guys who are creating it, and they go off to the next group who tests it and does this, and they're like, "Hey, this is where it's messed up." Then it goes back to them and just retweak what the people said, what the others,
right.
the other group said,
Mm.
and they send it back to that group. But there's rotations. There's people that's their thing. They're not working on the code and then playing it, working on the code, playing it.
Right.
They stick to one section of their game. There's, you get the section that is the music, the section that has the background. But when
Yeah.
you're by yourself, you got to do all of that.
Right, literally on your own, and especially since he was building it from the ground up, like, because me, even when I was fiddling with my first game, I didn't even make my own music, and I suppose I could have if I wanted to, but I just didn't want to go that far with it, and I didn't
Yeah.
make my own pixel art. Again, I guess I could have taught myself how to do it and made my own pixel art, but I just didn't want to go that far with it. I don't consider myself to really be an artist, but he just, that was just his approach. He wanted to do all the above stuff.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. I guess that information was still technically true. I guess I was just misinformed, or maybe they were misinformed, and how people sometimes they hear something and they get their own idea version of it, and so guess I misunderstood what they were talking about, because like I said, they made it sound
Yeah.
like this was something he was just like, it was just like some kind of fun little side project. I was actually under the impression that he never even originally intended to sell it, that he was just going to release it online just for people to play, because he was really just making it for fun. But apparently that was not the case.
Mm.
But
Yeah, you
anyway,
never know
but yeah,
what some people make for stuff.
that's pretty much my weekend. So, have you done any other than looking up gaming news? Have you done anything exciting?
Primarily just played video games all weekend.
Yeah, I did. I did play The Sims 4 again some yesterday. I hadn't played that in forever. I don't know why. I had suddenly had the urge to play. I was like, I don't know why, but I want to play The Sims 4 for some reason. So I did.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a game for me to play.
Yeah,
Because like I've been sticking with just the same games I've been playing over and over, and I'm like, I kind of need a new game, and I need to start the download on Starfield again. Because I guess
yeah,
they've Bethesda's finally added the Creation Club, which if anybody knows, once the Creation Club's added, means mods aren't far behind.
right.
And there's no one that can disagree with me that mods make Bethesda games 10,000 times better.
I wouldn't know. I've never used mods for them. So
Well, the thing is, because
they
like Bethesda
probably
games
do,
are
but
great in their own right, but
yeah,
there's things that just seem to always be missing
yeah,
with them. And like there's some mods that just are stupid. Why would you add a Naruto mod to Skyrim?
I don't know. I
Because you
guess
can
they
add
thought it would be
Naruto.
funny. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to have just a fun, goofy playthrough, I mean, I messed with those mods. They're fucking hilariously fun. Like running up and launching yourself with a raging gun, killing a fucking giant is pretty hilarious. Um, but Starfield, because it's so much bigger, I'm kind of really curious on how far the mods go out. Because
Yeah,
like the Fallout mods, Fallout 4 mods were cooler to me a lot of times than the Skyrim mods. Because like one of the things in Fallout mod you can do, one of the mods I've messed with, makes the you can basically get Iron Man suits, since they have the aspect of the suits in general
yeah.
that they get into. I forgot what those suits are called.
I don't know. I just
That's
always called them Fallout suits. Do they have a specific name? I can't
I
remember.
believe they do.
Oh,
Um,
I haven't played a Fallout game. Well, unless you count, I did play Fallout 4 for like a couple
Power
of
armor.
hours.
Thank God, Jesus
Oh, okay.
Christ.
I
Yeah,
played
they're called
Fallout
power
4 for
armors.
like a couple of hours when I was like in my late 20s, but unless you
Yeah.
count that, I haven't played and actually sat down and played a Fallout game since I was like in my early 20s.
But yeah, I got some mods added like different Iron Man power armors you can get. So
Hmm.
you could actually be Iron Man in a Fallout game. Like and then of course they have the settlements in there, and there were settlement mods that you could basically end up making massive cities, and there's a lot of things mods can do, especially for a game like any Bethesda game, because that's the aspect I think Bethesda realized quickly is allowing people to have access to mods kept their games alive. Because with a game like that, there's only so much you can do to it. I mean, yeah, they could have added a fourth or a fifth or a sixth DLC to Skyrim, but that's a lot of work for them that they had to focus on an old ass game. But if they let their modders they let the modding community do stuff like that, they can build a good base game and let modders have fun. And people are going to flock to buying the game and stuff and fucking with the mods, so they still get their games constantly still being played. Which is also why people actively, like our previous boss, whether he rest in peace, buy Skyrim on every fucking console. But so I'm really curious on what the mods are going to be like on Starfield because it's a lot bigger game than the other two. Also, it's a space game, so I'm expecting some Star Wars stuff.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Well, people are already basically makes because you can change what your ship. You can customize your ship, move things in different places and engines and stuff. People's already made it look like some Star Wars ships. So with just the base stuff, so I can only imagine what the modders have done. I feel like sometimes modders need to get be actually hired into some of these game companies. Because some games are so annoying and so stupidly broken or whatever when they're released
Yeah,
that modders have been able to come in and fix it
right.
quicker and
It's
more
like that's
efficient
the
than.
mod is they're making the game do what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like for the longest time when I played Skyrim until they done, of course, all the remastered stuff.
Yeah.
Uh there's a mod that I downloaded that actually fixed a lot of problems that Skyrim actually had.
Yeah.
So it made Skyrim more playable systematically. And of course, modders had already uh, made it more graphically enhanced before Bethesda did themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm talking about this, I'm remembering to go ahead and start the download on Starfield.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a 109 gigabyte game. I mean, yeah, I have a gig Wi-Fi, but might as well get it going when I'm not doing anything else besides recording a podcast.
Nope. You got to give it your full attention.
Nope, I can't do that. I got it. I'm sorry, I just can't.
I say that as I'm scrolling through Reddit.
You actively do other things on weekends.
Yep.
Uh,
I do things that I can where I can still pay attention
yeah,
and like have it. This is like background stuff. It's like because my brain is the way my brain it's broken. So
I could
I have to
probably,
be.
I could probably literally play a couple of my video games while doing this podcast. It's still
Yeah.
focused.
Actually, in some way, like scrolling through Reddit and stuff like that actually helps me pay attention even better. Like, because if I were to just try to leave it on the screen and just fully listen and just stare at the screen blankly as you were talking, I would just start spacing out and I probably wouldn't even understand what you were saying after a while. So, actually, in a weird way, reading through Reddit actually keeps me focused. So,
I mean, gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. Like I said, my brain's broken.
Um, so you have any other thing news or anything interesting of note?
Uh, I don't know. My
I don't
response,
know.
I don't know.
Uh,
I'm drinking
so I guess
orange
the
soda right now. Is that news?
I guess the Power Rangers community is up in arms right now.
About what?
So Bethesda, I guess not Bethesda. I keep thinking about Bethesda. So I guess Hasbro are doing a slight hiatus for Power Rangers. And and all these YouTubers and stuff are taking this chance. They're all over YouTube and crap, being like, "Oh, Hasbro's killing Power Rangers. They're not going to do anything with Power Rangers. They're going to let it die." And like, bruh, they're literally been talking about forever now restarting the franchise because they want to do things without the Sentai footage. They want to do just their footage itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the movie, the one of the movies that was supposed to come out, going to be put on Netflix. It's not going to be put on Netflix. It's get canceled. because there's some background arguments with with Hasbro and Netflix. I don't know the full crap on it. But Power Ranger YouTubers, a lot of them are taking this chance to like eat up the fears that everyone's having about Power Rangers being dead. I'm like, okay, Power Rangers is the same age as I am. If it passes away, it is what it is. It's an old ass thing.
Yeah.
There's plenty of shows that started in the 90s that hell they didn't even get out of the 90s, or
Yeah.
shows that started in the 2000s that didn't even make it to the 2010s. You know, it happens. Eventually, a franchise dies, but I doubt they're actually going to kill it because it's a moneymaker.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as long as they're making money on it, I doubt they'll send it away.
It's just because like also they've allowed another company that works with Hasbro to start working on the toy line instead of Hasbro actively doing it themselves. And people are like using that as a sign of it. I'm like, man, you know how many toys Hasbro's makes? And there's a shit ton of Power Ranger stuff they can still make. Like there's almost infinite amounts of Power Ranger stuff they can redo, remake. And they're big on remaking things. I mean, hell, they've been releasing updated versions of the old Transformer toys. Like that were made in the 80s.
Yeah, that reminds me. My sister, she texted me early this morning a picture of from Walmart, a picture of Super Saiyan Trunks action figure in there, and she was just like, "Does this look familiar?" And I
Oh
looked up the
god.
price, and I was like, "God, it's $35." I was like, "I remember when those things were only like $7."
Yeah. Eesh.
Like 35 freaking dollars.
Understand why toys get so expensive.
Yeah. I was like, geez, when I was a kid, I could have bought like 3 or 4 of those for the same amount of money.
Yeah, I could have got Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and Trunks.
I could have had a whole storyline and everything with several characters.
But yeah, like people don't realize companies do take hiatuses. Like even game creators take hiatuses after a certain amount of time with their games because like people want to have this conception of oh it's popular, make it, keep going, keep going, keep going. But when you flood the market with this or that or this or that, one or two things typically happens. The creators of said project gets burned out and tired after a while, and the fans just get tired of it because they've seen so much of it, and after a while things start becoming repetitive and they get tired of repetitiveness.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be repetitiveness in something that's gone on for 20 or so years. Like one of my favorite shows of all time, Supernatural. They started with the concept of Monster of the Week. And even that started getting repetitive and old, and they started getting burnt out. So they started adding storylines when they started introducing heaven and introducing more in hell. Because I mean, they already had demons, but they hadn't fully focused and big scope of it. What demons are in that world. And then introducing this, introducing that. But even after they kept introducing this stuff, there was a point in time where it was repeating that same stuff they just reintroduced while adding a little bit of the Monster of the Week to it. So after, I think, 15, 16 years, because I think there was a year that they didn't do one because of COVID or whatever. Uh, the actors are like, look, we love our roles. We've loved these characters for these years. It's time to say goodbye. Not accepting that a company wants to take a hiatus from whatever they're doing, especially if they have already wrapped up a season or whatever. It's stupid. Like people have gotten so used to this. When a show's running, there's a new season every year. Every year, there's a new season of this show. Or like Star Wars, when it was coming out so actively with this and that stuff. They're talking about how I think it was Star Wars. It was either Star Wars or a Marvel movie. Marvel, I can't remember. Both Disney, but now. But like, oh, we have this is the first year without a Marvel or Star Wars blockbuster or whatever. Like, yeah, because they have other things they're wanting to work on. They have other projects in that world they need to work on. And they want to take the time, or they need a slight break.
No, they don't need it. They need to get back to work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely in one of those, the gamers camp where, because there's like two different gamers that are anticipating a game. You have some people that are like, what the heck is taking so long? And then they start questioning things like, do they even have a game going, or do they have just a concept going? Where they start to doubt, like, if there's even really a game coming together. And
Yeah,
then there's the people like me who are, I'm like, oh, take your time. I'm like, I want the game done right, not, as
yeah.
soon as, yes, if when it's ready, but like, take your time.
Because like we've seen this thousands of times with games,
Yeah.
especially like the company will rush a game and it be incomplete and there's hardly anything in it,
Yeah.
or there's so many fucking bugs and you're having to like the company's playing catch up on fixing the bugs,
Yeah.
or you get stuff like companies like EA who like the game Anthem had so much promise when it was announced, but when they released it, I don't know, I can't remember if they rushed it or anything, but they released it and it had hardly any of the shit they said it was going to be in there. And then they
Yeah.
started talking about, oh, we'll do Anthem 2.0. Anthem 2.0, and add this massive update to it that's going to add everything they already said there was going to be in there. And then they just decided to cancel doing it. Like, oh, Anthem really ain't that special to us, so we'll just, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And I'm over here like, huh. And then, like, when you're going to say you're going to have something in the game, I would rather you postpone the game or launch date,
Yeah.
release date, to add that shit. Like, look at Cyberpunk. That game was
Oh God.
released
Yeah.
so
That game
poor.
was a nightmare when it came out.
And now people are saying it's a great game on the newer consoles. I
Yeah.
haven't bought it, so I've been tempted to. I've never done it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if my PC could handle it. It probably could, but
Oh,
I don't have a whole lot of space on my PC anyway, and like I said, I have one of those mid-tier gaming PCs, so I'm just
yeah.
not sure how well it would. I already had some issues when I played The Witcher 3, and from my understanding,
Uh,
Cyberpunk is even more wearisome. So
yeah. Like, I'm over here like, there's been a couple times I had a chance to buy uh Cyberpunk. Like it's like, oh damn, Cyberpunk's only like $20 right now. Fuck yeah.
yeah.
When does this sell in? The day after payday. Fuck!
Yeah, that happens to me all the time on Steam. Like they'll be like, oh, this is for sale. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was just like, I'll get paid. And it'll be like, yeah, the day after. The sale will stop like the day before I get paid or something. I'm like, well, crap, I'm not gonna really have enough money to buy that yet.
Yeah.
So,
So like, I that annoys me with sales sometimes. Like, yeah. But yeah, like back on the topic, like I hate it how people go so overreact overreact so fucking much when it comes to movies and games being either put on hiatus or the release date being pushed back or whatever. I'm like, do you want a broken game or a burnt out cast of crew on a TV show?
Right.
So like all the acting looks horrible because they're just not feeling it.
Yeah. Or a game, like you said earlier, a game that like maybe it's not got a lot of bugs, but there's just not a whole lot of content in it. Yeah. I've seen that happen a few times too. It's like,
Yeah.
and they could have done so much more if they would have just given themselves more time.
And like, I mean, again, I understand there's also other aspects to it, like, the company itself wanting to push a product because they put so much money into it. They want to see returns. That can
Right.
also kill a game, but fans can kill a game quicker than anything, or a
Oh yeah.
movie or show.
Toxic fandom. Yeah.
Like, I've always gotten to the point where any fandoms to say, fuck yourselves. I'm not even going to be part of you. I'll watch the shows and stuff myself, but I ain't going to talk to any of you motherfuckers.
I know it's like there's one show I like to watch, and when I get on Reddit and people talk about it, and all they do is grab and complain about some of the writing in the show and the characters, and in some things I can kind of understand what they're saying, but I would 90% of the time I just disagree with almost everything they say. I was just like, no, I like it. I think it's a good show. I'm like, I just don't agree with any of this. Or they'll complain about a character. I'm like, I like that character. But
Yeah, like, and toxic fans even go so further beyond just attacking a character. They attack the actors.
yeah, they're actually pretty nice to the actors. I will admit that. So most of the time, they're usually criticizing the writers. They're usually like, it's like, oh, honestly, those actors are probably like sitting there thinking, God, who wrote this crap? You know, every time they read the script. Yeah. And I'm just like, but most of the time, they're pretty nice to the actors. So,
Yeah, it's just, well, they typically are, but there's also actors and actresses that have gotten criticism and attacks themselves by fans for their characters.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, why would you attack the actor? Like, they're not that character.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where I might critique an actor's acting skills or something,
Yeah,
but like I don't go over the top like some people might. So, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, they're not the greatest actor in the world, but you know. And then sometimes, but I can usually I can tell the difference when it's the problem with the acting and the problem with the writing. Because sometimes some things are just written bad, no matter how good of an actor you are. You're just, no one can pull that line off correctly. In my opinion, anyway. So, but yeah, sometimes I do think there's poor acting involved, or maybe an actor is a good actor, but they just weren't giving it their all in that moment or whatever. So.
yeah, and some scenes you just don't feel.
Yeah,
And I've listened to actors talk on like interviews and stuff
yeah, which is understandable. So,
where they're like, yeah, like I just wasn't feeling that character at that moment. Or like some actors after a while of playing a character, like you play a character for 4 or 5 years, and the script gives you something that you're like, my character would actually do that. That's way out there. So actors have to, act. And it's kind of hard to act when you're used to doing some character a certain way and they alter it. But yeah, there's been a few actors that were attacked because of their characters, and I'm like, yeah. Oh, I had a stretch.
jeez,
Gee,
must have been quite the stretch.
yeah. Well, my shoulders are hurting. So I was
I
trying to
thought I heard.
stretch.
I thought I heard something snap.
Yeah, I'm trying to stretch my shoulders out without actually hurting. They hurt just to move.
Oh man, jeez, freaking Louise.
Damn.
Oh freak.
God.
There's something about being on this podcast. For some reason, I always like burp constantly.
mm,
Maybe it's because I always tend to eat right before I do the podcast. That probably doesn't help.
maybe.
So I'm sitting there just, and I guess talking probably kind of helps force the air out a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Now I'm distracted and I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know.
Oh, well, moving on from that stuff. But no, fandoms are toxic sometimes. Like, there's people even in the, like, you think, and especially certain shows like Power Rangers and stuff, that, like, really emphasize teamwork and friendship and coming together as a collective group of random individuals, that people would be more accepting of each other in those kind of fandoms. But there's people even in the Power Rangers community that attack others. Like there's one guy, one of his projects, I won't name it. He literally hates fat people.
Okay.
Yeah, he hates fat people and will not
Just as
have
soon as he
anyone
sees a
in
fat
his
person, he
project
immediately
that
is
are
like, I
fat.
hate you. Yeah.
hmm He has outright said it, and he's in other people's projects that are more popular than him. And I'm like, well, why condone that action?
Well, I guess if that's the way he wants to live his life, whatever.
But yet to put that as like in a Power Rangers community,
Yeah.
like you're in a community, part of a community that's supposed to represent, fighting spirit, loyalty, teamwork, trust in others. You're not very being a very much being a being very Power Rangery. That's even honestly the fan project community a lot of times is even worse than just the fan community.
Oh man, jeez, freaking lies.
Mm.
Oh my god, that looks gross.
What looks gross?
Someone put a picture on here of I think it's supposed to be a fruit salad, but
Yeah.
it looks like diarrhea. So
Yeah. Some people they just don't make very appetizing looking food.
yeah, like it. Yeah, I've been guilty of doing that a few times myself, where I'll make something that like it tastes pretty good, but like it doesn't look very good. I'm like, if someone sat this in front of me, I would be like, really? Have you ever seen the movie Scream 5?
No, I actually haven't watched Scream 5.
Okay. I was just curious because that movie, you know how the Scream movies always, or like the story itself also is commenting on like stuff going on in real life, you know?
Yeah.
And well, the fifth one also it comments actually on toxic fandom. So I thought if you had seen it, you. But yeah, now Scream 5 is not my favorite Scream, but I did like that aspect of it, the toxic fandom kind of, um, you know, talking about that a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah. So they I might
Yeah.
actually have to watch it just to I mean I've been planning on watching that and Halloween Ends,
Yeah.
but for some reason I keep forgetting to fucking watch them.
You still haven't seen Halloween Ends?
No, I still haven't. I keep like, okay, I gotta put this on my list to watch. I'm
Wow.
gonna watch
Well, I guess
this.
Scream 5 came out before Halloween Ends, so yeah, if you haven't seen
Yeah.
it, yeah. I've seen Scream 5 and Scream 6. To me, I like Scream 6 a little bit better than 5.
I haven't seen five. I don't think I've seen five or six.
Yeah. 5 is sort of like one of the requel things where they are kind of starting a new story, but it's still technically a sequel to the first four movies. And then 6 is just a continuation of that same story. So, but there's some parts in 6 that I really liked. There's some parts I didn't like either, but 5 to me, I don't know what it is about 5. I just cannot seem to get on board with every like like large aspects of the movie. Like there's parts about it I really like, and then there's parts about it I'm just like I just don't like it at all. So I'm just like, So to me, I just thought part like Scream 4 was just like way better to me than 5 was. So, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, I don't know how I got talking about Scream. I guess I was commenting on the toxic fan base thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Scream 5 does talk a lot. It's not so much with Scream 6. Like I said, Scream 6 kind of just continues the story. Now, of course, it has its own little comments that it makes. I would say out of all the biggest thing Scream 6 comments on is probably like it kind of goes back to the roots of the first movie, commenting on like, does a scary movie make can being obsessed with like horror and that type of stuff make someone become psychotic? You know, it sort of comments on some of that stuff again, but in a different way from a different point of view. So, so
It's actually cool.
I just think I just bumped my microphone. Sorry.
Yeah, I keep putting all that stuff on the list to watch, but then I'll find another horror movie. I'm like, huh, this is intriguing. I'll give it a try. And I'll forget that, oh, yeah, I was originally planning on watching this one.
Yeah.
There's too much in the horror genre sometimes. And the thing is, I can only watch it when my wife's at work because she doesn't do horror stuff. So,
She don't watch anything, not even like psychological horror movies.
no, she doesn't really like it. She'll watch like sci-fi horror, maybe. Like she watches like the Alien and Predator stuff,
Yeah.
but she's not big on anything that has to do with like over the top ghost stuff for she'll watch like the Conjuring universe because she likes Ed and Lorena Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Because she likes paranormal ghost hunting stuff. But
Yeah.
she's not big on like retellings and all that because she says they're over dramatizations, and she also doesn't like things with a whole ton of jump scares.
Yeah.
She won't watch any slasher movies because of like Michael Myers series. He bursts into people's houses and stuff. She doesn't like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So like I'm over here like, but there's a lot I want to watch.
You should just have to watch them alone.
Yeah. And like I can sit here and take a Saturday or a Sunday, watch like 2 or 3 probably. But I'm like, there's other shit I want to do with my weekend than just try and catch up on horror movies. On average, if I decide, after my wife leaves, I go get me some food, I get off the game for a little bit, and I typically watch one. I actually haven't done that the past 2 Saturdays though. Hmm. But yeah, I need to actually catch back up on. We'll finish the Halloween series and catch up on the Scream series.
Yeah. You seen the fourth one though, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to look at all of them and be like, oh yeah, this is the one I've seen. This is the one I've seen.
Admittedly, I didn't watch the fourth one for a long time because I had watched the first 3 before the fourth one come out. I watched the first one when I was like still a kid, so it was still relatively new. I think at the time it was a couple years old, but back in the '90s, early 2000s, 3-4 years is still pretty new, kind of, and especially if it's still living up on the hype of people talking about it a lot. But I watched the first one when I was a kid, and then I watched the second, third one years later on like HBO, I think when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
And I heard about the fourth one coming out when I was like in my early 20s, but I didn't watch it because I figured it would just be stupid and not very good. First of all, I was already kind of disappointed with the third one, and I just figured the fourth one would just be worse. And so I just didn't watch it for a long time. I finally watched it in like my, I want to say just a little bit past my mid 20s. It was like back in 2016 or something like that when I finally watched it. And I was blown away with how much I liked it. Like I said, I thought it was almost as good as the first one.
Yeah, I need to actually fully rewatch them because, like, it's been so many years since I've watched the Scream movies that I forgot a lot of details.
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny because one of the details I didn't forget is the ending of the first one.
yeah.
Like, I can still visualize like, her look when she comes to that realization as he drives off who the actual killer was. Like, that stuff I can keep in my head, but there's a lot of in betweens that I forget. I gotta figure out what they're on so I can watch them.
I know some of them are on Paramount Plus. I don't know if they're all on there.
I'll just have to look it up. I don't have Paramount Plus, so
I have it right now because I got it for free, but that's the only reason why I have it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it. Looks like the fifth and sixth one are on Paramount Plus, but none of the others. I'm not sure where they're at.
yeah. I wonder. So, do they plan on making more Scream movies, or are they done with it after the sixth one?
No, it definitely looks like there's going to be a seventh one, but based on the way it ended.
Oh,
Now, if there's going to be one beyond that, I have no idea, but it definitely looks like there'll be a seventh one.
yeah. Did you ever watch the TV show?
I did, yeah.
What did you think about the TV show?
It was just sort of my best way to describe it, which probably wouldn't sound good, which I'm not trying to crap on it, but is it kind of just felt like a more dragged out version of the movies. So, because like every episode, like only like one person gets killed every episode,
Yeah,
and so and the story basically just paces itself so more slowly. And some people may like that though. So some people might like a slower pace feel. Now, keep in mind it is a TV show, so they didn't have the budget that like the movies had, so it doesn't look as good. but it's still, I mean, for it's not like it's bad looking or anything. So now, of course, they didn't have the first. I think it was the first two seasons. They actually didn't have the rights to that mask, so they used a different mask. But then the third season, they got the rights for it, so they brought that mask into the third season. So
yeah. The second season was a little weird.
yeah, the TV show Slasher basically works the exact same way. Of course, in Slasher,
Yeah,
though, every season there's a different Slasher villain. It's a completely different story. The first, but it's paced the same way as the Scream show. It's very similar. It's like very paced out. Only one person typically is getting killed per episode, and so if you're a big fan of body counts when it comes to slasher movies, you may not like the shows as much, but if you like the more paced out feel, then you might like it. So, um,
I think I watched at least the first season of it. It's the
yeah,
one that it starts out with them in the apartment complex, right?
the slasher.
Yeah,
Yeah, they move from an apartment complex and they move into this old house that was her uh, mom's house, and that's because killings happened it's one of those stories like oh, this happened like 10, 20 years ago, whatever, a bunch of murders happened. And then suddenly when they move into the town, the murders continue. They come back again. So, and they're trying to figure out who's doing this because the guy who originally did it is still in prison. So they're trying to figure out who the new killer is. So, but he's a copycat killer essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not bad. The second season is where they're out in a bunch of teenagers. They're out in the snow. It's a bit more standard slasher movie or slasher story, and there's this guy in a snowsuit, kind of, sort of like a rated R version of Scooby Doo almost. And out in the snow, that's just the way it feels like to me. The second season does anyway. And they're hiding out in this cabin, but every once in a while somebody's got to go out, leave for some reason, and they always get killed.
Yeah, slasher movies are very predictable sometimes.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think that's what I like about them, though. You know what you're getting when you watch them. It's like when I'm watching this show or movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the body count. I'm here for the. My two standards when it comes to a slasher movie is I want a really cool looking slasher villain. I want them to look cool, and I want the body count pretty high. So basically, I just want to see people get. I promise you, I'm not a psychopath.
You sure?
Or am I? Maybe that's just something a psychopath would say.
They say one out of every two friends is a psychopath, right?
I know, right? What am I, the one?
I don't know. It's not 1 out of 2. I think it's like 1 out of 5 or something like that.
Yeah,
It's a potential psychopath or something.
Reminds me.
I'd have to look up this. Go ahead.
Reminds me of a joke I made on my sister one night years ago. I came into work and I got there kind of early because it was during that time where I was still walking to work, and so I kind of startled her when I walked in because she was looking at her computer, and I just was jokingly like, "Oh, it's just me. It's not like a murderer or anything," and she just kind of giggled, and I was just like, "Actually, I could be a murderer, just be a murderer. You would know." She was like, "Kevin, don't make jokes like that."
I think I completely tuned out your joke.
Do it.
Oh, I zoned out for a sec.
Oh, I was just telling a random story. Did you know that Taco Bell is now apparently selling those giant Cheez-It things individually by themselves?
Yep.
For like $1. Yeah. And I was just like, and people are just like so excited about them. They're like, oh, I got like a stack of them for like $5. And I was like, you can buy those at the store, right?
Yeah. It's because of the special thing. People get hyped about specials.
Something special, yeah. It's not just a regular cheese; it's a giant cheese. Do you need that? Well, no, but it's cool,
right? Yeah, I don't buy into those special stuff. Like, I'm curious on trying like maybe the the crunch wrap with it in there, just because I'm curious.
Well, that can be at least more understandable because that's something that's at least assembled together for you, not just a regular giant cheese.
But I'm not gonna spend $1 on a giant Cheez-It.
Yeah,
that's
like, could you get me the Cheez-It crunch wrap, but just take all that crap off? I just want the Cheez-It.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say on that. I find like when a fast food joint does something like a special burger, like that's like a barbecue burger or something that's only for the summer, or even McDonald's with their McRibs. I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
I even understand the Cheeto mac and cheese things from fucking
Yeah.
Burger King more than I understand just selling a giant cheese it.
Yeah.
Disease, what disease? Well, we can stop it here and go on the next one, or we can just stop it here. Your choice.
To you, I don't really have anything else to talk about, but if you got something, I'm all ears.
No, I guess it's gonna be a shorter podcast, everyone. We're kind of running out of things to talk about this time around.
Nope. This might be the last episode, so
No, it's not gonna be the last episode. Don't let them lie to you. I'll keep it going, even if I have to do it myself.
even if you have to do it yourself.
Even if I have to do it myself. It might become a whole different type of podcast, but I'll keep it going.
A nerd one.
Maybe. With a little politics, maybe some sprinkled up. I don't know yet.
Oh.
You know me. Nothing's taboo for me to talk about.
I guess.
All right, everyone. I hope you'll enjoy this shorter episode, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube because I do read the comments if there is one. Follow us on Instagram and Spotify, and have you figured out if there's comment things on Spotify yet?
Oh, I don't know.
Ugh.
I keep forgetting to look.
Well, on that bombshell, everyone. Bye.